Okay, so we finished the white, at least as finished as I'm going to make it. If I were doing something like a clone trooper, I would have gone over another couple of coats, but since I'm going to be weathering this pretty heavily, it doesn't need to be pure white. So what we're going to do now, like I said originally, the plan is to now mask off using the vinyl tape, stripe down the center, and then two angled pieces coming off to the side. So we're going to take our tape and we're going to cut two pieces. Actually, we're just going to cut one piece for now. I think that's going to be wide enough. So one piece for the stripe on the chest. Excuse me, as I navigate around the camera here. And we just want this straight up the middle as accurately as we can. Close enough. And then I'm just using this little tool to kind of press it into the grooves here. The main thing that you want is to make sure that as much as possible the edges adhere properly. Okay. Now we're just going to cut two more small pieces to be our angles down the side. Oh, is it focused? Okay, there we go. So there's our first one. Again, make sure the edges are adhered as much as possible. And then we're going to try and match that angle. Again, I'm not used to working with a camera. Sorry about doing shit off screen by accident. Okay, there we go. And now that we've got our stripe masked off there, we go back to our masking fluid. So now what we want to do is we want to add more of the masking fluid, particularly extending beyond where we did the last stuff, because if you do it that way, it will give you layers. And I will, when I'm done popping this on, I will grab that Mandalorian that I had shown before to give you a better idea of what I mean. So part of what we're doing here is adding some chipping to the red that we haven't actually painted yet. And one thing that I want to do is use the toothpick to just create a line, a scratch like that. And we'll do another one up here. Okay, and that I think is where we're going to leave it for that. So again, we're going to wait for that to dry, and then we'll start painting our red. This is dry now. So we're going to start brushing on the red. Now, the important thing when you're painting over tape like this is to always paint away from the tape. So you want your brush strokes to go away from the edge of the tape as opposed to towards it, because if you're pulling paint towards the tape, you have a greater chance of either pulling up the edge of the tape, which really fucks with your day, or pushing paint underneath the tape, which is not incredibly difficult to fix, but it's just a pain in the ass to fix. So we're going to start our paint job. And again, I've chosen like the worst colors for this tutorial because both white and red, because of how much you have to thin the paints to get a smooth coat, they both take a lot of coats to look right. It's like this will look pink for like the first 4 coats. Again, strokes away from the tape. The best way to do it is actually to start your stroke on the tape, at least for your first couple of coats, and don't have a ton of paint. And here we have the finished. What you're going to want to do is very carefully peel your tape. And you can see the tape is actually pulling up. I think you can see some of the masking fluid as well, which is fine. It's all got to come off anyways. But as you can see, as you peel the masking fluid, the paint peels as well. So what I do is once I'm done, I'll just show you right now, but once I'm done, I usually go over it with a dry brush just to brush away all the little bits. But first we'll finish taking off the tape. Pulling it very gently because I don't want it to pull up any of the white paint underneath that isn't going to be affected by the masking. And then what I usually do is I take one of these. This is a rounded toothpick, so it doesn't have the blunt edges or the sharp edges. So get his shoulders out of the way here. So then what I do is just kind of roll it over these areas. And then if you can get it with your fingers, get it with your fingers. I've got a little pair of tweezers here that I just then pull these pieces like I said, and just rub it with my finger to get the loose edges off. Some of them are going to be easier than others to get. Depending on how much of the fluid you used. As you can see here, we're starting to get that layered, chipped armor look that we're going for. So, lift that. There we go. That piece out of there. So, I'll just finish this off camera so that you're not just bored to death, and then we'll come back when it's finished and you can see the finished result. And here is the finished look for the chipped armor before weathering. So as you can see, we've got the layers showing. We've got the silver showing through both colors, and we've got the white, the undercoat, showing through some of the red. That's how you do the chipped technique. That again, that used on this guy. And then the weathering, I used the same weathering technique on this once I had done the armor chipping that I showed off in my other tutorial. So there you go. That is a relatively simple although time-consuming, technique to do chipped and damaged armor. Hopefully you found it useful, and we'll see you next time.